Welcome back to the English Prime Podcast. I'm Erin.
And I'm Evan.
Yes, welcome.
So imagine it's a Tuesday morning. It's pouring rain outside.
Oh, the worst.
Right. And your alarm goes off for that run you promised yourself you'd take. And you just lie there staring at the ceiling, kind of just waiting for that magical lightning bolt of motivation to strike.
Yep, we've all been there.
You know the exact feeling. You're hoping that if you just wait, I don't know, another 5 minutes, suddenly you'll feel this overwhelming desire to throw on your shoes and sprint into the cold.
But it never happens.
It never comes. You hit snooze, and the guilt just immediately washes over you. So today, we are taking on a mission in this deep dive to figure out why that happens and, more importantly, how to actually fix it. We're exploring the mechanics of how to be disciplined.
And it's such a crucial mission for this deep dive because that scenario you just described, that's like the universal trap. We constantly tell ourselves this story that we need to feel ready before we take action.
Right, like we need the perfect conditions.
Yeah.
Exactly. We wait for the perfect moment, the ideal weather, the ultimate state of mind. But our sources make it completely clear that self-discipline, and definitely not motivation, is the singular trait that determines success when that initial excitement inevitably fades.
And it always fades, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. It always fades.
I really want to unpack this whole waiting for motivation trap because, we have all fallen for it. You set a huge goal. You decide you are going to become fluent in a new language or write a novel or completely overhaul your fitness.
Yeah.
And for about 48 hours, you feel this incredible buzzing surge of energy. You tell yourself, this is it. My entire life is changing today.
A honeymoon phase.
Exactly. And then, it's Thursday. The magic is just gone. So if motivation is what makes us want to climb the mountain in the first place, why do we constantly fall for the trap of relying on it when we know it just vanishes halfway up?
Well, the problem is that we fundamentally misunderstand the biological sequence of how motivation actually works. We view it as a prerequisite.
That we need it to start.
Right. We think the sequence is desire and then action. We tell ourselves, I will study when I feel motivated. But the human brain operates in the exact reverse order.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Motivation comes after action, not before.
Oh, wow. So we have it totally backwards.
Completely backwards. When you force yourself to take just one small step, like when you just open the textbook or put on your running shoes, you create a tiny bit of momentum.
Okay.
And that action triggers a release of dopamine in your brain, which is basically a reward for overcoming the initial friction. That dopamine hit is what we call motivation.
That is so wild. So we're literally sitting on the couch waiting for the reward before we do any of the work.
Exactly.
It makes me think of this brilliant analogy from our sources about looking up at a massive mountain. Like when you set a huge goal, it looks like this impossible sheer cliff face.
Yes, the mountain analogy is perfect for this.
You stand at the bottom, you look up at the summit, and your brain it just short circuits. You feel completely paralyzed because the gap between where you are and where you want to be is so enormous.
And that paralysis is completely natural. The human brain is designed to conserve energy.
Right.
So when it perceives a massive, exhausting task ahead, like climbing an entire mountain, it immediately pumps the brakes. It wants you to stay in the warm bed.
Yeah, the bed is safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the reality is that the mountain isn't one giant, smooth rock.
Yeah.
It is made up of millions of tiny, manageable stones. And the sources really emphasize that success is profoundly quiet.
Quiet. I like that.
Yeah, it never looks like a dramatic movie montage with some, inspirational soundtrack playing in the background. It looks like simply stepping onto the next small stone when things get boring.
When no one is watching.
Right. When that initial summit fever vanishes, discipline is literally the only vehicle that keeps you moving from one rock to the next.
Which brings up the real challenge here. If we know motivation is basically a biological myth, and we know our brains want to conserve energy, how do we trick ourselves into taking that first step?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. The key seems to be shrinking the starting line down so incredibly small that failure becomes virtually impossible. We have to talk about building tiny, non-negotiable habits.
Shrinking the starting line is it's the ultimate hack for bypassing the brain's alarm system. If you want to build discipline, you do not start by promising to study vocabulary for 3 hours.
Or run a 10K.
Exactly. That triggers the exact paralysis we just talked about. Instead, you start with something so small, it almost feels, ridiculous to even say out loud.
Like what?
Like you commit to 5 minutes of stretching. You read one single page of a book. Or you write, 3 sentences in a journal. The critical element here is the word non-negotiable.
Ah, yes. The toothbrush
The
test.
toothbrush test, exactly.
Think about your own life for a second. You don't hold a high-level executive meeting with yourself every single morning to debate the pros and cons of brushing your teeth.
No, you definitely don't.
You don't negotiate your way out of it because you're feeling a little tired or, I don't know, the weather is bad. You just do it. It's an automated baseline of your day.
Right.
And the sources say we need to treat these tiny habits with that exact same level of automation.
And I'd take it a step further, honestly. It's not just about getting a tiny task done. It's about the underlying mathematics of consistency. This ties directly into the concept of the 1% rule.
Oh, from James Clear's Atomic Habits.
Yes, exactly. Small efforts compound over time, much like compound interest in a retirement account.
Okay.
A 5-minute habit looks completely insignificant on day 1, or day 5, or even day 20.
Mhm.
But those tiny actions eventually cross a threshold where they begin to actually reshape your entire identity.
Okay, I hear you on the math, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure, go for it.
I know my own brain. If I commit to only reading one page of a language textbook a day, I'm going to feel like I'm totally faking it.
Yeah, feels too easy.
Right. So does doing something for just 3 or 5 minutes actually make a tangible difference? Or is this just a psychological trick to make us feel productive without, you know, doing real difficult work?
It is absolutely a psychological mechanism, but it's not a trick. It's how human momentum is constructed.
Okay.
Doing something for 5 minutes intentionally breaks the friction of starting. Remember the dopamine we talked about?
Yeah, the reward after action.
Right. Once you begin, the dopamine kicks in, and 9 times out of 10, you actually want to keep going. You'll read 10 pages instead of 1.
Because you're already sitting there doing it.
Exactly. But here is the most important part. Even if you stop exactly at 1 page, you are casting a vote for your new identity.
Casting a vote?
Yeah, you are providing undeniable proof to your brain that you're the kind of person who shows up.
Yeah.
You stop being someone who just wants to be a learner, and you actually become a learner.
Wow, that's powerful.
It really is. A massive foundation of 5-minute blocks will completely outpace the person who tries to study for 6 hours once a month and then, just burns out.
That reframing changes everything. You aren't trying to achieve the whole goal in 5 minutes. You are just proving your identity.
Exactly.
And there is this fascinating framework in the deep dive sources for finding the time to cast these votes. It's called pocket time, and it completely changes how you view your day.
Oh, I love the pocket time concept.
Right. So think of your time like a pocket full of change. We always obsess over the $100 bills, like the massive blocked out 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon that we swear we are going to use to write our novel.
But those 2 hours never happen.
Never. But we completely ignore the pennies.
The pennies being those strange liminal spaces in our day.
Yes. The 4 minutes standing in front of the microwave, the 7 minutes waiting for a taxi, the 6 minutes sitting on the train before your stop. What do most of us do with those tiny coins of time? We just throw them straight in the trash. We pull out our phones and doom scroll through social media, absorbing absolutely nothing.
It's so true. But if you consciously collect those small coins of pocket time and invest them into your tiny non-negotiable habits,
Yeah.
you basically buy back hours of your life every single week.
It adds up so fast.
It does. You can review flashcards while the coffee brews. You can do a 5-minute core workout while waiting for the shower to warm up.
Yeah.
You are adding more hours to your day. You are just reclaiming the hidden minutes that are already there.
Okay, so let's say I'm fully on board. I'm casting votes for my identity, and I'm investing my pocket time like a Wall Street banker.
Love it.
There is still a massive roadblock here. Momentum requires energy. And I know that by 8 p.m., after a long day of work and life, my mental energy is at 0.
Oh, absolutely.
Even a 5-minute habit feels like climbing Mount Everest at that point. If discipline is just about forcing yourself to do things when you're exhausted, I am going to fail.
Which is exactly why discipline is rarely about force.
It's not.
No, not at all. People who appear highly disciplined aren't actually using willpower all day long. They're using systems.
Systems.
Goals are fine for setting your initial direction, but systems are the actual engine that gets you to the destination. We have to automate our routines so they don't require any willpower at all.
Because willpower isn't just a mood, right? It's an actual biological resource.
Exactly.
The sources compare it to a muscle that physically depletes every time you use it. Every single choice you make during the day, what to wear, what to eat for lunch, how to respond to an annoying email, it all burns through the glucose in your prefrontal cortex.
Yes, decision fatigue is very real.
By the time evening rolls around, you are suffering from severe decision fatigue. So if you are relying on that exhausted muscle to make the choice to study at 8 p.m., the couch and the TV are going to win every single time.
That is just the biological reality.
Yeah.
You cannot out-willpower your own exhaustion.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
And that's why automating decisions in advance is the secret weapon. You design your environment to do the heavy lifting for you.
Okay, give me some examples.
So you lay out your gym clothes right next to your bed the night before, so you literally have to step on them to get up.
You can't avoid them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You leave your study materials open on your desk, not packed away in some drawer. You make the positive habits visually attractive and incredibly frictionless to start. And you make the negative habits practically impossible.
I want to use a really great analogy from the sources here to just cement this. Think about how a GPS works in your car.
Yeah, this is a great one.
A goal is just typing the destination address into the screen so you know generally where you're headed. But the goal itself doesn't drive the car.
No, it doesn't.
The system is the actual turn-by-turn navigation. It tells you exactly when to turn left, what lane to be in, and when to slow down. You don't have to agonize over every intersection. You just follow the system. But any good system also requires defense. You have to protect your focus from what the deep dive calls time thieves and dream thieves.
Oh, we all know the thieves intimately.
Don't we ever?
They are the constant push notifications, the endless algorithmic scrolling, the group chats that blow up right when you sit down to focus.
Think they know.
They do. And if you want your system to work, you have to treat your environment like a fortress. You don't try to sit with your phone buzzing on your desk and just use willpower to ignore it.
Because that still burns mental energy.
Exactly. You lock the door when you know a burglar is outside. You physically move your phone to a completely different room while you execute your tiny habit. You remove the distraction entirely.
But this brings up a really crucial tension. We're talking about strict automation, locking away our phones, non-negotiable daily habits.
Yeah.
I can already hear people listening to this thinking, wow, this sounds exhausting.
You can tell that way, yeah.
So how do we build a system that is strict enough to keep us on the road, but doesn't feel like this rigid, miserable prison that ultimately just burns us out? Because if discipline just means punishing myself, I don't want any part of it.
I'm really glad you brought that up because it is the exact point where highly motivated people crash and burn.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If your system is built on self-flagellation and just pushing harder every single day, it will absolutely become a prison.
So what's the alternative?
To prevent that, we have to completely redefine what discipline actually means in practice. True discipline isn't just rigid enforcement. It intrinsically requires self-compassion, ironclad boundaries, and deliberate, unapologetic rest.
Okay, let's dig into the self-compassion piece first because it sounds almost contradictory.
How so?
Well, usually the language around discipline is like hyper-masculine and aggressive. It's all about crushing it, no excuses, grinding while they sleep. Self-compassion almost sounds, I don't know, soft.
It sounds soft, only if you have a fixed mindset. That harshness stems from the belief that your abilities and character are frozen. Like you are either a disciplined winner or a lazy loser.
Right, very black and white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But true discipline requires a growth mindset where you understand that failure is just raw data.
Raw data, I love that.
Yeah, it's not a permanent judgment of your soul. When you approach your systems with a growth mindset, missing a habit doesn't mean you are a failure. It just means there was a glitch in your system that you need to adjust for tomorrow.
And part of adjusting that system is aggressively protecting your energy. That is where boundaries come in.
Yes, boundaries are huge.
Discipline means having the courage to say no to the things and sometimes the people that drain you. We often don't realize that people-pleasing is actually a massive discipline killer.
It really is.
Yeah.
Over-apologizing and constantly accommodating everyone else's emergencies are massive energy leaks. Every time you say yes to a peripheral obligation you don't actually have time for, you are stealing the very energy you need to run your own non-negotiable systems.
So you're sabotaging yourself.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries isn't selfish and it isn't rude. It is a necessary structural component of being disciplined. You are the architect of your mental space, and you have to decide what is allowed inside.
It's like you're plugging the leaks in a bucket so you can actually keep water in it.
Perfect analogy.
And speaking of keeping the bucket full, we have to tackle the most misunderstood part of this entire deep dive: rest.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about rest.
There is this toxic undercurrent in our culture that views resting as wasting time. If you aren't producing, you're falling behind.
So damaging.
But think about your smartphone for a second. If you run heavy apps all day, streaming video and using the GPS, and you never ever plug that phone in to charge, what happens?
It dies.
Right. It goes to 1%, the screen dims, and eventually it completely shuts down into a black brick. We are exactly the same biological machine. Rest isn't a luxury, and it isn't a reward for good behavior. It is literally charging your battery.
It is a fundamental, non-negotiable biological requirement.
Yes.
Trying to execute your systems late into the night when your battery is at 3% results in garbage work, high stress, and eventual burnout.
Every time.
Taking a quiet walk without your phone, staring out a window, or just getting 8 hours of sleep, that is disciplined rest.
Yeah.
It is a strategic move to ensure you have the capacity to use your time effectively tomorrow.
But let's be real for a second, because, we are all human. We are going to mess up.
Of course.
There will be days when the battery goes to zero, despite our best efforts. The boundaries will fail, the phone will stay in the bedroom, and we will completely blow right past our non-negotiable tiny habits.
It happens to everyone.
And when that happens, our inner critic usually wakes up. It acts like a terrible, abusive bully living right inside our own minds, screaming that we're lazy, we're frauds, and we'll never actually change.
Yeah, that voice can be brutal.
So, when we inevitably slip up and break our routines, how do we use discipline to bounce back without using shame as a weapon against ourselves?
Well, the irony is that the most truly disciplined people in the world are actually the fastest to forgive themselves.
Really?
Yes. When you mess up, you have to force yourself to talk to your own brain the way you would talk to a good friend.
That's a great perspective.
You wouldn't look a friend in the eye and tell them they were worthless because they missed one workout. You'd say, hey, it was a brutal day. You're exhausted. Let's just reset and try again tomorrow.
Right. You'd give them grace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shame is a terrible, highly inefficient motivator. It just makes you want to hide and avoid the task completely.
Yeah, it shuts you down.
Bouncing back means recognizing the slip-up, analyzing why it happened, putting down that heavy backpack of guilt, and simply taking the next right step.
I love that visual. Putting down the heavy backpack of guilt. Because carrying it doesn't make you stronger, it just slows you down.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this deep dive right now? How do you take all this theory and actually use it today? Let's bring the entire map together.
Let's do it.
First, you have to stop waiting for that magical lightning bolt of motivation to strike. It's a myth. Action creates motivation, not the other way around.
So true.
Second, you need to shrink your starting line. Build tiny, non-negotiable habits, the kind you do like brushing your teeth, and fund them by collecting your hidden pocket time.
Third, stop relying on willpower. It is a depleting resource.
Save that glucose.
Right. Build automated systems and protect your environment from time thieves so that making the right choice is actually the easiest choice.
And finally, redefine your discipline to include growth, boundaries, and guilt-free rest. Silence that inner critic when you inevitably stumble, gather the data, and start again.
It is a quiet, highly unglamorous process. There are no fireworks,
No movie montages.
no movie montages.
Mm.
But it is the most reliable, battle-tested engine for actual life change that exists.
Which leaves us with one final, slightly provocative thought for you to mull over as you go about the rest of your day.
Okay, let's hear it.
We usually view discipline and freedom as total opposites, like you either have rules or you have fun.
Right, the classic dichotomy.
But if true discipline is about automating your positive behavior so deeply that you no longer even have to expend mental energy thinking about them, does that mean ultimate freedom and spontaneity actually come from having strict routines?
It's a fascinating paradox. The structure is what actually buys the space.
Exactly. Could it be that by perfectly structuring the boring, quiet, repetitive parts of your life, you are finally buying the mental freedom and the time to fully enjoy the wild, unpredictable rest of it?
It really makes you rethink the whole concept of discipline.
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We challenge you to take just one tiny, completely imperfect step today. Read one page, do one push-up, cast one vote for who you want to be.
We'll see you next time.